Ford Ranger is as hot as a pistol right now. Everyone wants one, and for a good reason, as this mid-size pickup truck offers a lot of practicality, comfort, and capability at an approachable price, while also having a couple of aces up its sleeve to combat its competition. As a result of this huge boom in popularity, dealers are selling the Rangers like hotcakes, and the demand for the Ranger has never been bigger. So let's not waste any time and check out the 6 key reasons why the Ford Ranger is flying off the lots. Number 6. A solid choice of engines. One of the biggest issues that modern midsize pickup trucks tend to encounter is the absolute lack of power plant options. You're either stuck with a gutless 4-cylinder engine, such as the one used in the Toyota Tacoma and the Chevrolet Colorado, or a dated, naturally aspirated V6, which can be seen in the Nissan Frontier and the Jeep Gladiator. That's exactly where Ford decided to beat its competition to a pulp. You see, the Ford Ranger can be purchased with both an inline-4 engine as well as 2 twin-turbo V6 ones. The inline-4 engine used in it is a 2.3 EcoBoost, made popular by the Ford Mustang. It makes around 270 horsepower, making easily one of the most powerful 4-cylinder engines in this segment, which is only amplified by the fact that this is the entry-level engine of the Ford Ranger. Much better than the gutless heap of junk under the base Tacoma's hood, which can push out less than 230 horsepower. The 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6 is the real deal, though. It pushes out 315 horsepower, which is impressive. However, what's even more jaw-dropping is the absolute acres of torque you'll have at your disposal. A whopping 400 pound-feet of torque, to be precise. This is enough to make some full-size pickup trucks blush, let alone mid-size ones. In addition to this, if you're looking for the absolute best of the best, you'll hardly find anything that could come remotely close to the range-topping 3.0 EcoBoost, which generates a whopping 405 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. This engine is reserved for the Raptor, though, so you'll encounter the other two much more frequently. In addition to this, both engines are mated to a 10-speed automatic gearbox, which allows them to be incredibly elastic and responsive, while also remaining as smooth as possible. Not to mention that such a gear ratio will also allow you to drive on the motorway at lower RPM, which means that you'll both save some fuel compared to its competition, as well as be less irritated by the engine screaming constantly in your ear. Overall, whichever engine you go for, you won't make a mistake, as they're all pretty good. Number 5. An honest-to-God styling. We don't know about you, but we've grown a bit weary of the constant push towards overly angular, angry, and over-designed pickup trucks. This seems like the manufacturer is overcompensating for something, which, as we've established with the engines, might be true. Thankfully, Ford hasn't fallen into the trap of designing a ridiculous pickup truck. Instead, they've offered us a simple, conventional, yet very recognizable and bold design. The Ford Ranger, for all intents and purposes, looks like a pickup should. Squared off front end? Check. An abundance of simple boxy lines? Check. Traditional silhouette? Check. Honestly, it's so refreshing to see a pickup truck that knows exactly what it is and isn't going through an identity crisis. Ironically, this monotone styling would make the Ranger dull and forgettable a few years ago is what makes it stand out from the crowd. Also, we love that Ford didn't make the Ranger into a mini F-150. It's similar enough to it to be recognizable as a Ford pickup truck, but different enough so that it retains its own style and character. Too many pickup truck makers nowadays are offering just a shrunken-down version of their full-size pickup truck, and seeing Ford do differently is what makes it so incredibly popular and beloved. Number 4. Class-leading truck bed. Let's be honest, as much as they matter, looks don't sell a truck. What does is its practicality and capability, most prominently, the truck bed. And in this regard, you will hardly ever find a better alternative to the Ford Ranger. You see, the Ford Ranger comes with either a 5-foot bed or a 6-foot bed, which is very impressive because you'll get both bed sizes with a crew cab. Usually in this segment, a larger bed is reserved exclusively for the extended or single cab. However, with the Ranger, you'll be able to drive around 4 passengers comfortably, while being able to stuff the bed with stuff that's up to 72 inches long. Now, the Ford Ranger isn't the only truck that does this, as the Tacoma also offers the same choice. However, you're going to pay much more for a crew cab Tacoma with a 6-foot bed. Also, the Nissan Frontier comes with a 6-foot bed, and it will be more affordable than the Ford Ranger. However, you will simply have to make many more compromises overall, making the price difference not worth it, in our opinion. Number 3. Great off-road and on-road performance. In addition to being a very practical vehicle overall, the Ranger is also very versatile. You see, unlike most of its peers, which either opt to be a good on-road or off-road car, Ford has decided to focus on a jack-of-all-trades vehicle. As a result, the new Ford Ranger is both a very competent mile muncher as well as a good off-roader too. You see, Ford has given quite a lot of thought to the suspension, and they have made it rugged enough for it to be good off-road, but also soft enough that the potholes, road imperfections, and bends and twists aren't that insufferable. Now sure, depending on the trim level, you'll get a more off-road or a more on-road oriented version. For example, the Raptor comes with 2.5-inch Fox racing shocks with live valve technology at the front, Watts Link rear suspension at the rear, as well as a locking front and rear axle. Not to mention bespoke wheels and tires that are specifically designed for off-roading too. On the other hand, the Lariat is outfitted with softer springs at the front, as well as low-profile road tires that allow it to be more nimble and much more comfortable overall. Now sure, it won't be as good as the Jeep Gladiator off-road, nor will it top the Toyota Tacoma's fantastic ride quality and composition on-road, but it is the perfect middle ground between the two. Besides, the Tacoma uses coil springs, while the Ranger relies on leaf springs, which is why the Tacoma reigns supreme off-road. However, leaf springs bring an all-new advantage for the Ranger to the table. Number 2. Class-leading towing and payload capacity. Put it simply, there is no midsize pickup truck that can rival the Ranger in terms of towing capacity, save for the Jeep Gladiator. The Ford Ranger, believe it or not, can tow up to 7,500 pounds. Can you believe that? 7,500 pounds! Most midsize pickup trucks can tow less than 7,000 pounds at best. Heck, the Tacoma, because of its rear suspension, can tow a whopping 1,000 pounds less than the Ranger. And you know what's the kicker? When properly equipped, you can tow up to 7,500 pounds with the base 2.3-liter. Can you even imagine that? Now, would we recommend going for this engine if you intend on towing and hauling constantly? Obviously not. It will take a toll on it eventually. However, we're very glad to see that Ford is willing to create such a powerful pickup truck even for the lower-end buyer. As for those of us who prefer the V6, it too will be limited to 7,500 pounds. However, funny enough, you'll be able to get the posh Lariat version and tow that kind of weight around like it's nothing. Now, the only vehicle that'll be able to beat the Ranger in this regard is the Jeep Gladiator, as we've previously mentioned, and it has only 150 pounds of towing capacity more when properly equipped, which means you'll have to pay thousands of dollars more to get a marginally better truck. In addition, you'll also be able to top off the bed with up to 1,805 pounds, which is the best in its class, beating out the Gladiator by a whopping 100 pounds. That reminds us, do you know what's the bigger ace up the Ranger's sleeve? Number 1. Amazing value for money. There's no avoiding it. You cannot beat out the Ford Ranger when it comes down to value for money overall. Sure, the Chevy Colorado might be cheaper than the Ranger to buy for the lower-end models. However, for that money, you'll be getting a completely gutless 230 horsepower Turbo 4, as well as a very bad interior, ride, and overall quality. And sure, the Tacoma might be comparably priced. However, for the money, you basically get a pickup truck that excels in only one area, while failing in all others compared to the Ranger. And don't even get us started with the Frontier. Sure, it has been redesigned recently, and yes, it does look every bit as good as the Ranger. However, come on, the towing capacity, the interior, the payload capacity, everything falls short of the Ranger. The truth is this: the Ranger might not be the best vehicle in any particular segment, but it is damn well excellent in all of them, which is more than most mid-sized trucks can say.